What's up, everyone? This is Raul Jimenez at the Untold Story Podcast, and today with me we have Lauren.
Hello, my name is Lauren Hudson.
And what are you studying here at WSU? For those who don't know, she's also a student here at Washington State University.
Yes, I go to Washington State University. I study French and biology, and I'm a senior, so it's my last semester here.
Whoa, you said French. Can you say something in French right now? Can you say what you're feeling right now in French?
Je suis très heureuse, which means I'm very happy right now.
I'm glad you said what it means, because I was about to be like, I don't know what that means, but you said biology, French and biology. Why the two?
I actually didn't mean to double major in French. I was pursuing biology and studying biology, and then French is something I studied all throughout high school, to be honest. I just hated being monolingual. So when I started studying French in high school as a requirement, it was just really cool for me to be able to communicate to more people in another language. I started seeing how things can take on different meanings in different languages, which was really cool. So when I got to the university, I kind of just kept studying it as a hobby almost. Like they were fun classes.
That's a hobby.
They were fun classes. Like my bio classes it felt like school, but French, it didn't feel like school. So I studied it, and then I was a semester ahead off of like AP classes in high school. So I actually studied abroad in France for a semester because I was ahead. And I just accumulated enough credits after my abroad trip that I accidentally majored in French. So yeah. So
besides French, is there any other languages you've taken on to try and learn, or has it just been French?
What
other languages you know? Let me ask that.
I've tried Spanish, but it's...
What kind of Spanish? I'm Mexican, but like Mexican Spanish or like Spain?
Spanish.
Okay, because there are different.
Yeah,
I've tried learning Spain Spanish, and I see the similarities, but there's times when I'm like, wait, how does that one make sense? But it's just I was raised with like a little different type of Spanish, but no, I definitely understand it still. But
I tried to learn Mexicans, not fully tried. I didn't give 100% in it, but it was one of my goals to learn Mexican Spanish because I'm going to be a high school science teacher. And I know French, but for me, it's really important to be able to communicate well with all of my students. And I recognize there are a lot of Mexican students in the U.S. in general. So I wanted to do my part in trying to communicate with them. Plus, I'd be able to just talk to more people in different languages, so that would be cool.
Really cool that you say that. You speaking about that reminds me of so when I first got to the U.S., I was kindergarten at the time, and not the time when I got here, but when I was in kindergarten, none of the teachers could communicate with me, and I didn't know English. I didn't have anybody to be teach me. I didn't have anyone. It was just me and my parents and family members, but I was the oldest kid, so there was nobody to reach out to. And I remember they had a translator for a parent-teacher conference thing. And I remember them telling me this is me as a 5-year-old kid. And I still remember to this day how they told my parents how I would not pass kindergarten because I was too dumb, because I didn't know English. And I remember just feeling so down about it. And I was like, you know what, nah, I can learn this. And yeah, I eventually did. I passed kindergarten for, kindergarten's not a big deal now. But back then, to me, it was the world, I was damn, I was able to pass it when people didn't think I could. Yeah. But you saying that, you want to do, things like that, that, I guess, touches, a place, But, because it reminds me of, those type of things, which is, even now, when I do get, scared of something, or I don't know if I'm going to be good at it or something, I'm like, you know what, people have always doubted me since I was in kindergarten, but you got to keep going.
Yeah.
But,
and I feel like that's the case with a lot of multicultural students as well.
Yeah.
And the problem isn't with the kid, it's with the school. Yeah. And developmentally, we can, if I chose to speak a different language, so if I spoke French or Spanish or Vietnamese to my kid, and that's all they knew up until kindergarten, they are better off that way than me just speaking English to them, because school is for them to learn English. They will learn English, but that's a way that you can get your kids to be bilingual, and that is so much more rewarding and useful than any other skill, like being able to communicate with other people. And so I say it's a problem with the school because we feel like we have to fix these kids when no, that's not the case. They are more intellectually capable than anyone can think. So
it's like that saying when they say like you can't expect to teach a fish how to climb a tree. You know, like you gotta learn to be in its environment and show it its true potential. Just like that like, and that ties in with like, you know, like a shark will only grow to like wherever its environment is. If it's a small environment, it will stay small. If it's in the ocean, it's gonna get huge. And so like that's, you know, I've always heard things like that when like comparing like ourselves to like nature and like Mother Nature, and that I feel like at the same time is beautiful too. Like going back into we're part of nature. You know, like we shouldn't feel like because we're humans and we can build these things, we're so much better than the animals, because they're smart in their own way. Like some animals can like communicate with like like sonar and stuff, like dolphins and stuff, and it's like we can't do that. Like damn, like that would be kind of dope. Like I just say what's up to someone that's like down the street. They don't have to be here with me.
I actually just talked about this in my evolution class. Okay. I'm a biology major, so we were talking about if there are any species that are quote more advanced. But since we were talking about evolution, we were talking about the different species diverging off as they evolve. And humans were last, I guess. And then you can take it all the way back to corals. And my TA was like, can we say that corals are less advanced than we are? No. In a way, corals are even more advanced because they lived for so many years back to we are, like before now. And they haven't evolved that much. Like they've been able to sustain what they are, whereas we're relatively new. So yeah, like we can't compare, like you were saying, one thing to a different thing when they're not even the same at all.
Yeah. I feel like we're talking very like sciencey right now, but so it gets me curious, like how did you get into like biology and stuff? Like was it something like you already knew in high school, or was it more you just took a class and you realized that's what you wanted to do?
I remember a specific moment, but I don't remember if before that moment I was interested in science or if I knew that's what I wanted to do. I'm not exactly sure. I knew like for some reason I kind of wanted to go into healthcare. My mom's a pharmacist. My dad's an HR manager, which is awesome. He's like so great with people. And then my mom, she is just so on fire for science. So I think both of those things tied me to wanting to work with people in a science field, which tied me to healthcare. So when I was in high school, I knew I kind of wanted to pursue that. So I took more science classes, but I didn't fall in love with it until I took anatomy and physiology. And I was just like blown away with the human body, how it works, like how we can understand it. And when problems come up, how we can help it or something like that. So I fell in love with human anatomy and I just thought it was incredible, which made me want to pursue healthcare, which obviously I'm going to be a future teacher, so I changed my path. But that's originally how I fell in love with it, is I just took that class and became a nerd. Full nerd. Yeah, no, I feel that. For me it was I always kind of had a creative spark, but I kind of like I kept it a little hidden just because like in my culture is very like, you know, work hard, you get what you work for, which I didn't mind at all, because now I feel like I have all these skills because of all the like jobs that I did. But there was always something in me that like was just interested when I would see like creative or like art things, and they would just catch my attention, but I never really like grasped it, like, you know, like that's where life is trying to take me towards. It wasn't until I took a photography class where like, you know, I was told I wasn't creative. And like I never had really taken things to heart. It was more like, you know, I can do it. But that one, like, it took me to heart, and I couldn't explain why. It was just like, why am I like feeling this so much? Well, what I ended up doing is I had the last paycheck for the summer where I was working in the cherries, where I would like just like lug buckets and stuff like that. And I remember just grabbing that paycheck, and like it was that day I got that paycheck.
and then I put in the bank and everything, and I just went online and looked up cameras and stuff. And actually, I still have it right here. This was my very first camera. Yeah, this is the one I learned everything on. But I bought that camera, and I remember it was like 300, 350 at the time.
Dang.
And I remember it came in about a week, and my parents were like, "What is this?" You know, like this big box just comes in, and I was like, "Well, I bought a camera," and they're like, "A camera," and you know, like nobody in our family had ever done anything like this. So then I was like, "Yeah, you know, like I want to try this out and everything." And they were like, "How much was it?" And I told them. They were like, "That's your whole paycheck." And then I was like, "Well, yeah, you know." And then I was like, one day, I was like, "I'm telling you right now, like one day, I'm gonna be making money out of it." And I was like, it might not be in a day or in a week, in a year, might be a while, but one day, I was like, I just have this feeling like this is where I should go. Then I just started messaging like friends and be like, "Hey, you down to go like take pictures?" I looked up like YouTube videos and everything, and I just tried to learn it. The first couple of times I went to go take pictures, not the first couple of times, for like the good first 2 years, I have to say, where like every time I went to go take pictures, there was just so many mistakes, and I could see them, but I didn't know how to fix them. And all it took was just keep doing it. And eventually, like now, like I was telling you earlier, like I went to go take pictures with my mentee, and, you know, I was really able to just like let my creative spark just go. And it's just like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's go here, let's go there. And I was showing her around and everything. And it was really, really cool. Like just, you know, I forget sometimes how I used to be, and like just like hearing like all the things, like just taking that moment to like reflect back on it. But yeah, I don't know. I like you were saying, like I don't remember exactly like when I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I just had a feeling, you know. And then I got here, and actually I started studying wine, so that was gonna be my original major. So yeah, I was in winemaking and everything, and I liked it. You know, there was nothing bad about it. I just missed photography. I just missed being creative. I don't like to be all textbook all the time. I like to just, they tell you the rules, but you break the rules. Like that's a lot of photography and stuff, you know, like there's rules, but follow them because they're really good. But if you figure out how to break some of them in a creative way, it's like, boom, like, you know, like it's a breakthrough type of thing. And I don't know, I really like that. Yeah. So when I switched majors, so I dropped out of like college for a year. I was going through like a lot of financial problems and stuff like that. And so I decided like, you know, I need to take a step back. I wasn't completely happy with like my major. So and I took a step back and everything. And during that time, like I really started exploring photography more. And as the more I explored it, the more I realized this is what I really want to do. And then I came back, went into digital technology and culture. I fell in love with the first class I took. And like you said, I was just like mind like blown. Like I was just like, whoa, like this is the field. Like this is how it really is. I remember speaking to professors like, you know, like my family doesn't really understand this. Like I don't really understand it. Like how does this all work? And they just gave me like, there's like creative content creators, there's videographers, there's photographers, there's music, there's producers, there's DJs, and they were giving me like this whole list and how like everybody goes through like their path. And I was just like, whoa. I was like, damn, like that's pretty cool. And then I was like, well, I'm up for the challenge. I was like, let's see where this goes. And then yeah, next thing you know, like I fell in love with it. And then like, I mean, now we're doing the first episode of the podcast, and yeah, I'm really happy that you were able to come through.
Something that you said a couple things, but something that you said was like your parents didn't agree with it, but you still did it. What would you say to someone who, what they want to do, whether that's for faith reasons, whether that's for their passion reasons, no matter what the motivation is, what would you say to someone who wants to pursue something that their culture and their community around them doesn't agree with them?
It's going to be hard in the beginning. It will. I got a lot of backlash. My parents were not really like, they were supportive, yes, like they didn't like throw it away type of thing. But they wouldn't like ask me questions like, how's it going? Or like, what new did you explore? Nothing like that. So in a way, I always kind of wished they would have. Maybe that would have, I don't know what that would have done to me, but I remember like there was even like, I guess, friends at the time who like made fun of me for like even thinking this was a thing, you know, or like even trying to, especially because I came from a small town. Like my graduating class was 42 students in high school, like my senior year. So like, you know, it was a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And I was never known to do things like that. So, you know, everybody was kind of like, what are you doing? Like that's, you know, that's not you. I just kept pushing and I kept exploring. I came here to WCU and I met like an amazing mentor. Her name's Maria Yepes. Shout out to her. She'll be here eventually on this podcast. But yeah, she kind of saw who I like really was, and she really helped me like develop into like a leader. I remember when I met her, she just had this like strong voice and the way she advocated for the documented community. And I was like, I want to be like that one day. And when I got like that mindset of like, I want to be like that, I just kept going and going. And then like now, like I told my parents, like last summer I got flown out to DC, everything paid for. And it was really amazing. And that trip, I took it like, by myself. Like I flew out from here in Pullman. I arrived to Seattle and everything, and then, flew out towards DC, came back and everything. But during those flights and everything, I had layovers. So I would go out and explore and just like, just talk to like random people. And just, I was, just chilling by myself. In DC, I didn't know anybody. Like the people I was going to meet, I didn't know anybody. And I ended up, like now I have a group chat where like different, like our similar age all around like the country. So it's really dope. Like we have this group chat, we hype each other up type of thing. And I remember the day we left DC, like I was already missing them. Like I was on the plane and I was like, wow, like I really miss them. I was like, and I met these people for like 3-4 days. In the day we all met, we were going to go all the way to New York. We just couldn't because we weren't going to be back on time for our flights. But we were going to go all the way to New York, and like that type of like friendship that I made for like just complete strangers really opened up my eyes of like, this is what I want to do in the future. Like, I want to have, like, my stationery, like, home and all that. But I do want to go out and explore, meet people, hear their stories. And, like, I realized the way to get that started was a podcast. And I was like, like, these stories have to get, like, heard. I heard so many stories of so many people. And I was like, why does nobody ever talk about this? Like, you only hear, like, oh, like, this is, like, how many dreamers there are. This is how many immigrants there are. This is how many from, like, the black community are trying to cross. And, like, the border news we saw last year. And like, that's all you hear about. Yeah. But you don't hear about, like, their individual stories of, like, why they're actually coming here. Why is it that you keep pushing? Like, I hear so many stories of, like, their parents just being like, well, they opened up a restaurant and everything, but they did it because they needed the money. You're not passionate about it, but they needed the money. And things like that sometimes, like my dad wanted me to be like a mechanic or something like that, Mm-hmm. My mom wanted me to go into the medical field. She still wants me to be a doctor to this day. She'll throw it in here and there. But I was just like, I can't even look at my own blood.
No, for real.
What else's blood? But yeah, it's just, but they're happy for me now. Yeah. I think like it took some time, couple years, I'll say, but you just have to learn to love yourself, be there for yourself. Nobody's going to be there with you in the beginning. There will be people here and there, but you're going to want someone to be there kind of like all the time. But that someone should be you more than anything. Mm-hmm. Like that's always there for themselves. Once you get to like that point and you just keep pushing, things literally start lining up without you even realizing it. Like it might sound cliche, but like it's your destiny. Like it's your path. And, I like to think of it like the path is kind of like dictated, but you can still change it based on your decisions. If you make the right decisions, you will go through what life is meant to be for you. If you make the wrong choices, I mean, you get diverted, but you can always come back. And I gotta say, like, I love the path I'm on right now. Like, it's challenging. It's really fun. I meet so many people. And yeah, all I gotta say is, like, if you have something where people are not supporting you, your community, your parents, I remember a thought I used to have is, at the end of the day, all those people are just people. And the only one that really knows what's you is you. And if you really know deep inside that it's for you, just keep going. And then one day it just makes sense and you'll look back and you'll be happy you did it.
Yeah, I would say know your purpose, because for me, like, same thing. Some of my family members, like, not even just like my what's it called, intermediate family, but some of my external family members were like, yo, teachers don't make that much money. And they're like, why'd you switch from healthcare to teaching with some back tone type thing? Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could feel it. Oh.
Yeah, no, it's just like you're throwing shade.
I'm like,
Like, how much are you making though?
Yo. Yeah, but no, same thing for me. Like, not everyone said, oh, that's awesome. Like, you do that for yourself, you do that for other people, whatever. Yeah. They don't see the vision. They don't see your vision. Just like you said, you're the only one that sees the vision. Yeah. And for me, like, God gave me my purpose. He gave me my vision. Some people could see it. Some people couldn't. The people who couldn't, they'll see it later when there's fruit, when you're succeeding, when you're doing what you love. Like, know your purpose. Because if you don't know your purpose, you're just walking on a path with no destination. Yeah. Like, you don't know where you're going. You can't, like, aim for a target.
It's just easy to, like, lose yourself in those moments, too.
It is. But I think it's also important, if you do have a dream, if you do have a vision, that you find someone who will believe in that with you.
Yeah, you find your community. Yeah, like, now the people I surround myself with, they're, you know, like, I hang out a lot with, like, Aaron. Shout out Aaron, by the way. I've been on this podcast, releasing soon. Maybe it'll be out by the time mine comes out, actually. But yeah, you know, shout out to him. Like, we literally met our senior year, and like you know, like, I like to kick it with him, and like he sees like visions similar to me, or like we're able to like give ourselves constructive criticism. And when you do surround yourself with people like that, it's just like, whoa, like, it's eye opening. Then I have my other friend Emily, who's a car photographer, and I was getting into car photography. I left it, went back to portraits, and then now I want to get back into car photography. But I knew there were some things I didn't really know how to do. So I reached out to her, and she explained to me how she does it, because her content is fire. Like, that thing is fire, I gotta say. But yeah, it really is. Like, you surround yourself with those type of people, and like people that are like you have like such a high energy. I remember when I met you.
Yo, what did you think about me when you met me?
You forgot my name like 4 times, but okay.
No, so he's actually for real. Like, it takes me like 4 or 5 or more times, because I remember things when I write them down or when I see them.
No, what's funny though is you would always say hi first, but then you didn't know my name, so I was like, what? But the first time I met you, I think it was at the mentor retreat at the beginning of the year. We were playing like those games inside like the gym, and then you like said like hi randomly, so I was like, oh, what's up, you know? Oh, because you knew Martine, and I was with Martine.
Yeah.
So you said, mutual friend Martine. Shout out to him. He's a homie too.
We love you.
Yeah, so you went to go say hi to him. You introduced yourself and everything. I introduced myself, and that was that. Then the second time was at open house at the 4th floor, and I was with my mentees walking around and everything. And then you like looked at me for like a second. You know, I was talking to my mentee and everything, and then all of a sudden you look back and then you say hi again. So I said hi, and then you asked for my name, and I was just like, I was so confused, but I was like, whatever, you know, like, we're all just meeting each other right now. Like, I didn't know most of you either, so, you know, I was like, you know, it happens, whatever. So that was, you know, 2 times. The third time, I walked into a chicken neck center, and you're in there, and I thought you like knew who I was already, because like you just said hi immediately, and then you asked Martine what my name was, and I was just like, and then I just told you it, and then you're like, this time I will remember. The 4th time was at in-service, and we got paired up, and that's when you were like, I know I've met you and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, and I was like, you know, it's funny, I actually remember your name.
Oh, I felt so bad.
No, I was like, it's chill, you know, it happens. So yeah, then we got paired up that day. And then from there, I think, like, you know, it stuck. At least I think so. Do you know my name? But yeah, that day I remember that was the first time I actually had the conversation. All the previous times were literally just like hi, and that was it. Mm-hmm. That time we had a conversation. I remember you saying how you get nervous presenting in front of leaders, but I was like you're literally like a leader. Like, you're right here being a mentor and everything. And so I wanted to talk about that actually. Okay. Why did you feel like that?
Well, okay. Yeah. So I definitely am a leader at heart. Like, when situations aren't organized, I want to put order to them. I want to organize them. I like to delegate tasks. I want to make sure everyone feels included. But it's different with leaders, and especially me being a future high school teacher. You know, I want everyone to feel heard. I want everyone to feel like they can voice their opinions. I feel comfortable in front of the classroom. I feel comfortable leading discussions. I feel very comfortable in front of high school students, middle school students, kids. I've worked with kids all my life, so I feel comfortable with that. Even just like peers in general, other college students, if we're working in a small group, I definitely feel comfortable kind of taking the reins, meaning delegating tasks, meaning everyone feels heard. That's what I mean by leading. I don't mean like me doing all the work, because that's not leading. If you don't trust your team, then that's not leading. To be a leader, you have to trust, and you have to make sure everyone's welcome, and that there's this community and respect in there. That's why it's hard with a group of leaders, because in our mentor in-service, we're all leaders. We all lead our mentors. So when we had this group of 15 leaders in charge of a task of creating and establishing games for this fall fest, it was messy. Like, people weren't I'm a communicator. I need to know all the details. People weren't answering. People weren't being accountable. It wasn't organized. Like, there were not that many expectations given the task. So that's what made it hard too. Like, there weren't that many boundaries. But I ended up kind of taking leadership on that by setting up meetings and stuff. And I was definitely self-conscious, because I want these leaders to know, like, they are equally leaders to me. Like, I'm not any higher. I'm not trying to establish like ownership. I'm not trying to establish this hierarchy. I'm not trying to do anything other than just get the job done. But sometimes, people won't put in that work. So someone has to step up. But the reason I felt self-conscious was because of that, because I didn't want these whole group of leaders who were all leaders. I didn't want to lead a group of leaders, Yeah. I thought we should all put in like the same amount of leadership and work, and it just wasn't going there.
All right, so you were talking about like the leadership positions and everything. What's something that you would tell someone that's a freshman, let's say, that just got into college, or even right now because of COVID, they're sophomores and just getting into campus and everything? What would you tell them in a way to motivate them to get into leadership positions? Because I know for myself, it was very tough. But what would you say now that you're a senior and you have this experience?
To get into leadership positions?
Yeah. Why is it a good idea, or,
I would say that now is the time for personal development. Like, this time you will never have again as a college student, to develop yourself professionally, personally, to just grow. And honestly, leadership, I feel like, is the best way to do that. You grow in empathy, and that is a big characteristic that I feel like more people need to have. But you really learn how to communicate, and that goes a long way with any job profession you have. One of the number one characteristics they're looking for is effective communication. And kind of like what I said, leadership doesn't mean taking over. It means knowing how to build relationships with people and knowing how to get things done, but trusting your teammates. So all of that goes to personal and professional development. So that's why you definitely should. And if that feels uncomfortable for you to think about being in leadership, that's what growth is. We're in our comfort zone, and right outside of that, there's that beautiful growth zone where it's slightly uncomfortable, but it's not like hitting the fan. It's not like unless you're gonna have a panic attack, then that's not the growth zone. The growth zone is where you need that 15 seconds of courage to just say yes, and then you can start. So I would, recommend in college being in that growth zone where you can really prosper and develop yourself. But advice for getting into leadership, I would say seek out what you're passionate about. Like, for me and Rolly right here, we're both student mentors for the Community Equity and Social Justice Student Service.
Do you remember that? I was kidding.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, okay, wait. Speaking of that, though, I always tell people, because I feel so bad. I love in a different way, though. Like, my friend has an amazing memory. And for me, I can tell he loves people with his memory by remembering the small things. But for me, I love in a different way, with my actions, with my heart. Anyways. Yeah, so we're
not a fighter.
So we're student mentors. I'm passionate about social justice. That's also why I want to go into teaching. But I'm also really wanting to connect with my multicultural side of who I am. So that's why I pursued that. Especially like wanting to be a high school teacher. I want to promote students to go into higher education. But whenever you want to promote that, you also have to support the same like values that you have. Yeah. So I want to support these students as multicultural undergrad students. That's why I chose to pursue this. But you can pursue anything. Like my friend is a marketing president, like marketing club president, because he is interested in marketing and he loves business. He loves networking. So he pursued that position. So I would say start with what you're passionate about. Yeah. And then pursue it. Get involved if like they're not opening cabinet positions yet. Get involved, get your foot in the door, and then meet people. Like start getting outside your comfort zone because you're in the growth zone. And then you can find those leadership positions. And I know it's scary, but I would say just go for it, because if you don't try, you're more likely to regret something that you didn't do than something that you did do.
You know that there's two things that came to mind when you were talking about these, but let me touch on one real quick. The trying, that you'll never know unless you try. Is there any words in your mind that you feel like scary? Like for me, it's like the words "what if." Mm-hmm. Every time you put the words "what if" together, it just means you're thinking about something in the past. Like, what if I would have done this instead? What if I would have done that? And like it can be good, but it can also be bad. Because it can be good because you're acknowledging everything you've gone through and everything that's put you where you're at right now. But it could also be bad because you can get like imposter syndrome, you know, and you feel like you don't deserve what you have. Like I know, I feel like a lot of us have experienced it or are experiencing it and don't even know it because it's not something that's talked about. And, you know, when you do feel those things, like how do you acknowledge it when no one's ever told it to you that this is a thing? Like when I first heard it was about a year ago. First time I ever heard that word.
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah. First time, and that's because someone on social media posted about it, and I was like, "What is this?" And so I looked it up and everything, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like
snap!
Like, this is a thing. So I did like all this research and everything, but
for the people, can you define imposter syndrome?
It's like a guilt feeling that you feel like you don't deserve what you have or like what you worked for. Like let's say for me, you know, I'm doing photography and the podcast, and I've been, you know, flown out to like different areas for gigs. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm not good enough, or that I do not deserve these opportunities, and that somebody else should be having it instead of me.
Yeah, so it's that, but it's also you're nervous that like people are gonna find out you're fraud, basically, and you're gonna be exposed, and they're gonna see the real you because you don't believe, again, like you're worthy of that.
And yeah, like, you know, what was I going with that? I like last week we just got so much into it. The next part I was gonna say is so for you're talking about like growth and everything, like the growth stages. But with growth stages comes, you know, like those self-reflecting moments when you even put yourself down. Like we're all harsh on ourselves, whether we admit it or not. At one point or another, we're all harsh on ourselves. I'm a victim of that, you know. But what's your why? Like what makes you, like, let's say, you know, you used to get in at 8 a.m., but today you have to get up at 6 a.m. What makes you like get out of bed and be like, you know what, like I got this today?
For me, I talked about a lot about knowing your purpose. And for me, my purpose comes from God. And I know that like 6 a.m., ooh, that sounds tough. But like at the end of the day, my purpose is to teach in the high schools. It is to impact communities and to really be someone that can encourage my high school students. And like you said, you were seen by some of your friends, or like you weren't seen by your family when you told them their goals. Like my job as a teacher is to see them. I want them to feel seen. And I can't do that if I don't get up every day, if I don't live out my purpose. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But those immediate feelings are only temporary, whereas like my walk and purpose is ongoing. So yeah.
Talking about like the religion and everything, what is like your religion, or what's driven you to stay as one religion? Because I know for a lot of people it changes as we get older and we split from our families. What draws you back into it without like you knowing you don't want to get away from it?
I'm a Christian, like Protestant Christian, or like non-denominational, and I actually didn't grow up in a faith-based house. I met God for the first time when I was like a sophomore or junior in high school, during that summer in between, and it just changed my life completely. Like before, I was kind of stuck in how people saw me, like I wasn't finding contentment in high school popularity. I wasn't popular, by the way. I wasn't in the popular group. Like I knew a lot of people, I talked to a lot of people, but because I was like friends with everybody, I didn't have like a lot of close friends, and that made me feel like alone. So there was a lot I was going through at that moment. Sophomore, juniors in high school, there's so much drama. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so
high school drama.
Yeah. But I wasn't content in that. So when I met God, like he filled that hole of loneliness, and he kind of gave me a new identity. So like I started following faith, and I started getting involved in different like ministries, and started leading high schoolers through ministries. But really, like he just gave me a different identity. And I feel like when people of faith recognize like how we all fall short of the promises he gives us, like how much oh my gosh, sorry, every time, how much you don't deserve the love that he gives us. So really that's kind of where my faith stands, is like I know how much he's given me when I don't deserve it at all. I don't deserve it, yet he still keeps loving me. And he's given me purpose, like high school teaching, exactly what I want to do with that. Like he's given me so much purpose in that. He's given me so many promises. So how could I turn away from someone and something that loves me so much? And if you think about it, like every human being just chases love. Like they want to feel like they belong. That's every single person. And if you're denying it, nah, you're playing. Like everyone wants to feel loved, and that love has a source. Like there's a reason we all feel loneliness. There's a reason we seek friends. Like we want to feel belonging. Everyone struggles with that because there's a reason. So I'm able to love because God has already loved me first. And then now I want to give that to other people.
You were mentioning about like everybody like wants love and everything, and I've been told that I'm very like optimistic to like just life in general. But that really like clicked with me because people make bad actions and everything, but my idea has always been that if you want to change the world, you can't change people's minds. You got to change their hearts.
Yes.
Because their hearts is a much more powerful organ than like the brain. It really is what drives us. We all search for like that love and for companionship, for friendships, and it's really what's fulfilling at the end of the day. Like even when we're talking about like, they tell you about like you're not making enough money as a teacher type of thing and all that, but money I don't think brings like the happiness. Yeah, I can buy you things that quote unquote bring you happiness, like let's say a car, but that's temporary, right? Like it's after a while you're gonna be like, I want that next best car, and you need more money for that. And it's a good driving method, that you want to pursue better things and you keep working. But at the end of the day, like love is something else. It's hard to explain, but I
do want to make the distinction though, because you were talking about happiness, but there is a distinction between happiness and joy, because happiness is a feeling. Joy's not necessarily a feeling. Like happiness is an emotion, and emotions can change so fast. Like, you could be watching a scary movie and be terrified, but then look over to your friend who's like doing something funny. I don't watch scary movies, by the way.
You don't watch?
No, I don't.
I think nobody at WC watches scary movies. I ask everybody, they're like, I don't watch scary movies.
No way.
WC, tap in. Do you watch scary movies?
But yeah, you could look over to your friend and they could be doing something really funny and you could just laugh and immediately smile after you've been terrified. That is a feeling, that's an emotion, and that is so temporary. It is not fact, it's not real, it's not reality. They just change so quickly. Yet joy is like the longevity and the circumstance of your heart. It's like a long-term where you are, and it's totally related to your purpose. And like, God gives me that joy. So even if you're sad, even if like a family member passes away and you're experiencing major either trauma or grief, you can still hold joy in this hand while holding grief in your other hand. Like, joy can exist simultaneously with other emotions because you have your purpose. You have your relationship with God. That's your joy. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're happy.
You're going to be such a good teacher.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Like, I would pay attention to class. I'm like, dang. I'm like, you know what I learned today? I learned to have the difference between happiness and joy. That's really cool.
That's related to science.
So, make it relate.
You know what's crazy is like
the chemicals that are released with happiness.
Yeah, okay, but also like scientists, they can't prove why we love or who we love. They can only prove or show that there are chemicals released. But if I look at someone I love and those chemicals are released, it's like, you can't prove why. You can't prove why. So it's like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, no. It's, so like for me, I have it's really this one. So I have like this, like little cross. I don't know. Like I'll get it closer. But I have a necklace. I know I have it somewhere. I just stored it so it wouldn't get lost because it did break. But that necklace with like the cross and everything, I also got it with another one that I carry in my car. I got it when I did my first communion. I come from a Catholic family. I did my first communion and everything, and my godmother gave me those items, and they were both blessed and everything. My bad. And ever since I got that necklace, ever since it broke, actually, let's say that now, I remember I feel so weird that I don't carry a necklace around me because I was so used to wearing a necklace for years. Ever since I got it, I would wear it every single day. And when it broke, I remember just like, I don't find a reason to wear another necklace. Like, yeah, like I've been trying to get like into fashion and whatever, you know, and like they tell you like, oh, you know, like wear a watch, wear like bracelets, rings, necklace, whatever. But I can't. Like I've tried on different necklaces. It just doesn't feel the same. And I don't know what the feeling is or nothing. You know, I can't describe it. Same thing in my car. I have that one hanging, and it hangs like right next to my shifter, like maybe like about that much higher, because I can feel it when I'm holding my shifter. And yeah, you know, before I take off on drives and everything, especially long drives, I like to like just hold it and just kind of be like, you know, hope everything goes well today and everything, and short and simple, just keep it going. But there have been times when there's close calls when I'm in my car, whether someone almost hits me, or there was actually one time when I was passing a semi on this double lane, so you know, it was a little sketchy, whatever. I'm passing a semi, I think I hit like 75, 76, I wasn't even going that fast, and my back right tire popped, and it just popped, and I remember the car just like kind of just threw me left and right. I didn't even know like what to do at that point. The scary part was that I had my sister with me, and she was in the back seat. All I could think about was her. I pulled over as soon as I could, you know, and, you know, maybe to, like, some people it's not a big deal, you know, like, when that happens. But that was my first instance that I had, like, something happen in the car. And I remember just feeling like, whoa, like, what just happened there? And, yeah, like, you know, she was, like, terrified. I think she was, I gotta say, she was, like, 9 or 10 at the time. She was pretty young. She's only 13 right now, but this was a couple years back. But I remember, like, she didn't want to get in the car for a while because she was scared because of it. And, you know, we had a conversation with her about it and everything. But I don't know. When people ask me, like, why I hang out in my car, it's just I've had so many close calls in that car. But for some reason, I always make it to my destination. Like, I've never gotten in an accident. The car's never left me stranded. And, you know, I don't know if I just drive a Honda Civic, you know, it's just nothing like expensive, nothing like that. But it's like, whoa, like, you know, I always make it to where I'm supposed to be. And when I really think about it, it's just like, dang, like, my purpose is really like there. Like, I meant to be there. I'm meant to do all this. And sometimes I do ask myself, like, why? But yeah, it's just like what you said, like, you just, like, know, like, your path somehow. And I don't know, it's crazy to explain. And yeah, I you know, I haven't gone to church as much as I would like to. I used to go a lot when I was back with my parents, but it's a different feeling, I guess. I liked going to it because it was like a family time. And I think missing that piece is what kind of only keeps me to, like, just do it, like, by myself type of thing. Because I enjoyed it, like, being with my family and everything. And, like, me just, like, going and, like, just sitting there alone, it's just kind of like, and I get shy. I might be a serial mentor, but I get shy. I get pretty shy.
I do want to also say, like, yeah, God he's our ultimate protector. He's incredible. But for anyone that's listening that isn't, I guess, of faith, I do want to distinguish that just because bad things happen, it doesn't mean that God did that. Like, if you did get in a car crash, God wouldn't have done that, like, to hurt. He wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have been the reason behind it. And so if people experience tragedies or hardships, for example, my really close friend, when I was in high school, he was 19 at the time, and he moved to go to university. He was crossing the street, and a car hit him, and he passed away. And for a long time, like, I was questioning, is God real? Like, why would he do this? That kind of thing. But we live in a broken world. Like, there's a reason that we need God. There's a reason we need Jesus. And God doesn't make bad things happen. He doesn't want to hurt us. It's just we live in a broken world. So I think I wanted to make that distinction. Like, yes, he is able to protect us. But if you're out there and thinking, like, you don't want to try faith because the world is broken, because God makes all these bad things happen. Yes, bad things happen, but that's why we need God. So I just wanted to make that quick distinction, and also say, if you're at all, like, interested in faith, we kind of talked about, like, what if, you know? Yeah. What happens if you try it? So I just want to encourage you, whoever's listening, if you're at all interested in faith, or you were into faith and you kind of fell back on it, or you just had a misconception, I don't know, whoever you are, I just want to encourage you, like, try to, instead of thinking of religion, faith is about relationship. Like, learn who Jesus is. Learn why he's the biggest character in history to ever exist. And maybe you'll find something.
So we talked a lot about all of our experiences, you know, religion, imposter syndrome and all that. But I want to ask, if you were to go back into, let's say, your high school self, and she could look at you right now, what would you think?
Oh my gosh. So for some background, my high school self, I was in lots of AP classes. I swam in the fall and played lacrosse in the spring. I was
Okay.
I was our high school mascot for a little bit.
What was the mascot?
Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so you do cheers and everything?
Uh-huh.
You do a backflip?
No.
No. You do the splits?
I'm working on it.
Oh.
I'm working on it. Anyways.
Well, that's good.
I was, our high school mascot for a little bit. I was in a lot of different clubs, like Key Club, Honor Society, Spirit Club. Some other ones, I don't really know. I honestly, like, I can't even keep track of it because I was in ASB. I was very involved in ASB, and my like high school superlatives, I was voted most spirited and most friendly.
I can see that.
So I was everywhere. I had a job in high school too. I know, I literally am the same. Okay, but the difference is, again, my personal development. I had a lot more, like, I think, doubt in myself. Like, I wasn't as confident in myself, especially in like going where I wanted to go. I didn't realize the opportunities I would have. I knew I wanted to study abroad. I was like, it may or may not happen. So I think high school me definitely was super outgoing, super just like involved in everything, but I just wanted like relationship, and I wasn't confident in myself. I put more value in like other people than in myself. I still low-key do that, but in a healthy way. And I think if the question was if my high school self was looking at me, yes. Oh my gosh.
I just seen right there in front of you.
I would probably cry, first of all. Because she didn't know what she was getting into, and she also didn't know how far she would go. Like, she had no idea. And people say, like, ignorance is bliss. That's definitely true. Because if I saw my future plans, if I knew everything that was happening in the future, I wouldn't be able to take it. That would be a burden that I couldn't hold. But there was a lot that happened. There's a reason, like, I am who I am today. You know, there are people who took advantage of, like, my kindness. There are events that happened that shaped who I was. And I feel like if she was sitting right here, I'm just looking at someone who's so innocent and does not know who she is. So if she was looking at me, I know, like, she'd be shook at the confidence and the development that I've had as a person, and my heart for people. I've always had a heart for people, but I feel like my path is so clear, and I am who I, like, know how to be who I want to be. You know, I need to go far. I still need to go far in, like, where I want my heart to be. I definitely will always be progressing into the person I want to be. But again, that development, I've just developed so far. So I know she would be proud of me, and honestly, like, in awe, because it has been a journey.
I can tell that it was hitting, because you had like this little glow in your eyes.
Stop!
Like, when you like closed it, like opened your eyes, thought about it, I just saw that. But no, like that's hella speaks, because yeah, like I look back, I would not have thought I was this confident back then. I hated taking pictures of. I didn't like. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I didn't like what I looked like. Like, I was really like, what the heck am I even doing? Like, who even am I? I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just going life day by day, and like nobody even knew. You know, like I was pretty involved at school and everything, and like I knew a lot of people, but nobody really knew. Like I wasn't really close like that.
Yeah,
I wasn't
exactly.
I had close friends and everything, but I never really truly opened up to anyone like that. And like you said, you know, like people do take advantage of like kindness and everything, because I still like to, you know, be kind to people, and you know, I may not be the kindest every time, but yeah, you know, like that does get taken advantage of, but I feel like those moments are really the ones that define you, because you can either change and you know, be like, you know what, like I'm never gonna be like that again, and I'm just gonna like do my own thing and say like screw everybody, you know, or you just stay true to yourself, because one day it will all make sense. And when I'm going through like something tough like that, I think about it. I'm like, you know what, like no, like I want to be like me. Like I like me, so why would I change? And be like, yeah, you know, whatever. Like it was a bad situation, and I wish things were different. But at the end of the day, when you look back at those situations, there were good moments, there were happiness, and even like if things end bad and anything that you're in, all those things really do build you into a different person. Like you said, like yeah, I'm still chasing like who I want to become. Like I know I'm in a good spot right now, and I know like I'm definitely like, they say like tunnel vision going over there, you know. But I do like doing like things on like the side and all that. Like I still like to go with my friends to like hard meets and things like that. Like because that's like self-love right there. Like I learned to do that actually, like to take yourself out just to like just chill at a park, like go get like, some sushi, just literally just sit there on a bench at a park and just really just like chill. Like you don't gotta talk to anything. And then when you like leave those like spots like that, music just hits different. Like music that hits different. And I listen to I gotta say a huge variety of music, and yeah, like at that point, like because sometimes songs, you know, they don't hit, but other times they just like hit. Especially like yesterday, so my car's been in the shop in the past days, and yesterday I got to pick up my car right before sunset. So as I'm driving off out of like the shop and everything, it's sunset hour, and it was just so beautiful. Yeah. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It was just one of those blissful moments. It was amazing.
I will say, on top of that, one of the best gifts the most rewarding things you can ever do for yourself, other than learning about God and following God, I would say, is knowing exactly who you are and really just investing in yourself. Mm-hmm. Because once you know yourself and are confident in yourself, who's going to stop you? Like, who's going to get in your way?
Yeah. All right. With that in mind, manifest something right now that you want your future self to become. Well, before that, actually, I think I kind of know the answer what you would say, but would you speak to your future self or your younger self if you had the chance? Like one conversation.
I would speak to my younger self, definitely, because, yeah, again, in the future, I don't want to know.
Chose to speak to your future self.
No. Honestly, I would speak to my younger self because that whole self-love journey, like giving yourself grace, for me, that's so hard. People can forgive themselves and be like, yeah, I did that, whatever. For me, like, my integrity is, it's a big deal for me, my character and my integrity. Also, I judge myself really hard. And so when I made mistakes, like bigger mistakes, I gave myself a hard time. When I went through heartbreak, that sucked. When my friend passed away, I didn't know how to deal with it. All these things, and I was like beating myself up for it. So yeah, if I could speak to my younger self, I would just say the importance of just, it's okay. Like, you don't have to know how to deal with it. You can make mistakes.
Yeah. Mistakes are okay.
Yeah,
it's
and
part of the process,
you just grow, and just knowing this is temporary. Feelings are temporary.
Yeah.
You still have joy. It is okay. Like, you still have people that love you, and I would just speak that because it was so hard to forgive myself for some things.
Yeah, and I know some people can. I know I'd like to be hard on myself as well, and especially, you know, I've talked about like all the opportunities I've had lately, and taking those opportunities, I do think a lot about my family, my parents, and they've never been able to experience that, you know, just simply like being in an airplane. Like, they've never been able to experience that. And for me, like coming from the undocumented community, I'm a DACA recipient. It's just one of those privileges that I carry that in those moments I really like. I remember being in that airplane and I was in there at sunset and at sunrise when I was coming back, and just really like, you know, you're above the clouds and everything, and it's like, whoa, like just like a heavenly moment. But reflecting upon that, you know, like I'm really doing something that not a lot of people have the opportunity to, just because of the status, literally just because of a piece of paper. And, you know, I'm lucky enough that I can renew DACA and have that, but, you know, I know that there's a lot of people that can't even do that. And yeah, like I put myself down at times like that, because I'm like, you know, do I really like deserve this? But then I think about it of like, you know what, my parents, like I started working with them since I was young, at the age of 4, and I remember just like since that age just thinking, I'm going to be something great one day, and one day this will all be worth it. And yeah, and then when I started working on my own in the restaurants, in the fields, packing sheds, and as a cashier in stores and all that, I remember just thinking, like, one day, like, you know, I will get out of this, and one day I'm going to become what I'm supposed to become. But yeah, I still, you know, I think about that of, like, I really wish my parents could experience all this when I'm experiencing it.
Yeah.
But what motivates me at that moment is I will give this to them one day. Like, I just gotta keep working, and right now, I have it and everything, and one day they're gonna have it as well if I just keep working. And it's tough to have those conversations with your parents too, because you don't want to make them feel guilty at the same time. Because I mean, they never told my parents how to like raise me and my sister or anything. They didn't know any better. They were just looking for a way to give us a better life. They took a huge chance on like, maybe this will give them something better. And I just think about that, of if they wouldn't have done all that, if they wouldn't have sacrificed like their youth, I would not have been here. Like, at this specific moment, this specific place, doing this and actually pursuing what like my heart tells me to pursue.
I feel like a theme we keep going back to is that what if and one day. Like, the possibilities of that you have, the options that you can choose, and that idea of like one day at a time type thing. So when I'm thinking about like this future self, past self type thing, like, I was so caught up in what if I don't do this? What if my future self is disappointed in me, kind of thing. But then knowing your worth, just remembering that one day at a time. Like, one day I will be here. Not what if, but I will. Like, I will. Yeah. I'll get there. And that could look like I'll get to a certain place. Like, I'll travel. It could look like I'll get my bachelor's, or I'll graduate high school. But it could also look like I'll choose to love myself today. Mm-hmm. Like, I can and I will forgive myself for this. And I will get past this. I'll get out of this situation. It can look like anything.
And I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, everyone's journey is super long, Like, my like ultimate goal is become a director and have my own movie. But to get there, I gotta do these little like things at a time, like learning
one day,
like learning the video process, learning the editing process, scripting,
one day at a time,
getting like those connections. But yes, one day at a time. Like, you get up today and you're like, today I'm gonna be my best self. I'm gonna get that creative flow for myself today. And even if you don't feel 100%, like, you give 100%.
You choose. It's a decision.
Yeah,
it's a decision.
Because you can just, like, I can say my longest day, let's say it's 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m. I can choose to be 100% for those 12 hours.
It's a choice.
And then when I get home, then it's like, all right, now it's rest time, and now I can actually just like let everything go. But at those hours when it's like crucial and like everything's working, it's like, this is when like everything I have worked for has to be getting put in.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've definitely learned just like recently, I gotta say like the past year, and it's made the world of a difference.
Yeah.
Such a world of a difference, and I would do it all over again if I had the chance to.
Ultimately, you need to ask yourself the question, who do you want to be? And what do you have to give to get there? Because for me, like, the sacrifices, the being exhausted, it's worth it though.
Yeah.
It's so worth it. Like, you see the fruit of what comes with your hard work.
Yeah. Later today when I'm editing this, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I woke up early today. Like, not on a photo shoot and everything. Like, it's really worth it.
But yeah, one day at a time. And each day you wake up and say, I choose this. You have to choose. You have to make the choice. And if you don't, that's on you. And then one day at a time, you'll get to where you want to be. But if you're consistently making the wrong choice for who you want to be, you're not going to get there.
All right. Give us an example. Manifest something right now.
Oh, boy.
Manifest something right now.
Oh, man.
It can be anything. It can be something that you have having doubts lately. And manifest it right now.
Okay. Well, honestly, I applied to teach English abroad. I'm a traveler. I loved it. I went abroad to study for a little bit, and it opened my eyes so much to how much people are the same. That's when I learned, like, everyone just is trying to find love. But it was incredible. So ever since then, I've wanted to go places. And I actually applied to 2 programs. One of them's teaching English in Vietnam.
Ooh.
I'm half Vietnamese, by the way, if you're wondering. And the other one is teaching English in France. And I hear back from the Vietnam application this month. and hopefully plan B, which is France. Hopefully that works out too, but
Manifesting.
whether or not that actually happens when I'm an actual teacher, I still want to find time to teach English abroad. So one day at a time. I will. But every day it starts with me choosing my purpose, choosing to follow God, choosing his plan is above mine. So wherever that takes me, I choose God.
Damn, really nice. All right. Well, I'll manifest is one day this podcast will become a show.
Hey!
It won't just be a podcast like in a in a college apartment.
Yeah.
It will fall on studio one day, But that's my manifestation.
I love that.
Continue. I have huge goals for it, and I want to keep pushing. But I want to thank you for being the first guest here. And
I'm so honored.
Cheers.
Yes.
To the first episode. Thank you for making it today. Today's a Saturday when we're recording, and she just got off work actually.
I
she
did.
Came to do this recording, and I gotta say thank you for coming through. Glad I met you. You didn't remember me the first couple times, but I will never let that go, Lauren.
Oh.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But no, like honestly, like thank you. And the first time I had a conversation, I was like, whoa, like this person has like a lot. And I don't know, like something just told me, I was like, I need to like speak to you more. So yeah, it's been really great, the conversations we have, and you're a really good listener. I've noticed that.
Thank you.
You pay attention to like a lot of like little details, and even if you think you don't, but you do.
Thank you.
But yeah, and we're cheers right now. She's gonna get both opportunities, and even if those fail, there's something bigger. If those
There's something bigger.
Nah, you got this. You're hella like out there. You're so involved. Like there's no way they wouldn't choose you. I would go to your class. All right, but cheers to that.
Cheers.
And actually, for everybody watching, if you made it to the end now, we actually haven't been drinking alcohol. It's been all the show. It's actually a juice.
It's apple cider.
It's apple cider.
It's apple cider.
It's apple cider.
And we're both 21 anyways.
Yeah.
Older.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm 22.
But apple cider. Mm-hmm.
But thank you everybody for watching, and stay tuned for future episodes. Make sure to follow the Instagram, TikTok, and there's a link tree to continue everything. Full episodes will be on YouTube. Peace out.
Bye, guys.